everybody, it's the homie Truth Teller, the street reporter. And a lot of people always be asking me about Lil Durk. That's one of the artists I'm always asked about, along with Chief Keef and a few more other guys. I'm not gonna lie, Lil Durk's been in the newspapers. He's been trending out on social media lately because some of the bad shit's been happening to him. Recently, he lost his brother due to gun violence. He lost his artist, King Von, due to gun violence. He's involved in the case in Atlanta where another one of his co-defendants ended up losing their life. You know about all the gang wars in Chicago, beef with Tekashi 6ix9ine, just dropping a song with Drake. So his profile is raising real high. A lot of people wanted me to speak on him and kind of give you some background on what happened to this guy. I don't really know. You know, we watch the same internet shit. He's a rapper. He does what he does and shit like that. But a question I'm always asked about is his dad, you know, Big Durk. A lot of people ask me about him, what happened to him. That's the reason we actually out here. In 1993, Lil Durk dad actually ended up getting involved in something where he ended up going to jail for some conspiracy, all kind of cases, man. They locked him up for a long time, I believe over 20 years. What started the case was a lot of people he was involved with started telling on him, you know. Word on the street, Durk dad was a real official gang member. He was like a leader of the Gangster Disciples and shit like that. But you know, his case led people to Lansing, Illinois. We're actually at Lansing right now. Come check it out, man. As you can see, we in Lansing right now. Got some of that right there, as you can see. Come man, check it out. This public storage sign. Now this is very important, and the reason that public storage sign is very important is because this thing played a part in Lil Durk's father being locked up for over 20 years. You know, Durk is a part of the Black Disciple Nation. That's the BDs, and they enemies is the GDs, and that's crazy because Durk dad is a prominent member of the Gangster Disciples. A lot of people were saying that Durk dad was rich. You know, he was one of the richest GDs back in the day and shit like that. He had a lot of respect and shit like that. But they also say, you know, the police allege he was like the main dude in a big drug ring that was making millions of dollars every year and shit like that. They say he had lieutenants and little foot soldiers and shit to help him move his dope and shit like that. That's what the police allege. Somehow someone got caught up. You know how it is when you're on the street, you get caught up with drugs or a gun, you get to talking and shit. And next thing you know, somebody got caught up and started telling the police information about Big Durk. You know, and they've been watching him. The feds started watching him. The police started watching him and shit like that because he was high ranking in Chicago. They actually got a tip. I don't really believe it's a tip somebody told, but we gonna keep it like they said. They actually got a tip that Big Durk had a big shipment of drugs in this public storage place right here. Now this storage has been up for over 50 years. This is the exact place where Big Durk was involved in that shit. The police is saying they ran up in him. Come with me, man. Allegedly, they ran in here and shit, right? And they get in one of these. I don't know exactly which one it is. I don't want to make up a lie or anything like that. But they went in one of those storages and shit like that. And when the police go in there, you know, they go in there, they got the SWAT team, the police, all kind of shit. They goes in there. And the police allege that they found a couple millions of dollars inside of that storage in there. They claim that they found drugs, guns, and all kind of shit, but they claim that they found over $1 million in there. Now, people in the street say it was more than $1 million. It was more like 8 million. But, you know, some cops pocketed shit because the cops was real dirty around in the 90s and shit like that. I still think some of them dirty now, but that's another thing. But yeah, next thing you know, a lot of people who was cool with Durk, they got to working with the police, man, got to giving out information, and they started cooperating with the police. The main suppliers, you know, because the police got to digging, man, they got far in this case, and next thing you know, they found the people who were supplying the dope, a guy who was 48 and another guy who was 50-something, both white guys. They get charged in this conspiracy too. One of them got 11 years, one of them got 9. People who was on the case with Big Durk, Durk dead, they got 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, shit like that. Durk dad was the only one who caught a life sentence at 25 years old. So a guy who's 25 years old catches a life sentence for drugs. Now, I'm not saying, you know, you feel me, drug dealing is cool, because that shit fuck up our communities, you know. I see a lot of women who will probably be the best moms on earth, and a lot of dads who will be the best dads on earth, but they strung out on that shit, you know. So I'm not trying to commend drug dealing, but I'm not gonna lie, life sentence is pretty harsh for drug dealing. I guess his past crimes, knowing he was a gang member, they claimed he was a gang leader, I think that played a part in that shit too. People testified against Durk. Everybody turned state witness. Big Durk ended up getting over 20 years. Man, he ended up getting life sentence, right? Somehow the laws changed from 1993 to now. So laws changed. His sentence got overturned. He ended up doing 20-some years, man, out of that life sentence, like over 20. He was recently released from the jails too. So he's out here. I think he's on some political shit like that. One thing I can say, when I seen him on interviews, he still ain't fucking with the people who tell him. He don't like rats and shit like that. So I feel him. He still got some street shit in him. But a lot of people always ask me that. That's why I say I don't find it that far-fetched that Durk is involved in a lot of these street things and shit. He comes from that, you know. Durk comes from where that shit comes from. His dad comes from that shit. They from that area. You know, Inglewood, whether you want to believe it or not, it's like the inventor of a lot of shit, you know. The leader of the gangster disciples, Larry Hoover, was charged with a crime that kind of locked him up and put him away. Then they put a conspiracy on him while he was locked up. But the main crime was because of a murder that was committed in Inglewood. David Barksdale had an assassination plot on his life. That's the king of the black disciples. He had an assassination on his life, I believe, in 1970. Like 4 blocks from where Larry Hoover was arrested for, you know. So everything started from that neighborhood. There's other shit in different neighborhoods. The West Side here, like the Vice Lord gangs and shit like that. But, you know, Durk grew up in the gang leadership, the structure. You know, they grew up around BD Twin. They grew up around the leaders of these gangs and shit like that. So I didn't find it far-fetched that, you know, a lot of the fans jumped on his music because his music was real. It told the street life and shit like that. But yeah, we actually in Lansing, though. Don't get me wrong, people get shot and killed out here too. It's more like a back road and shit. It's just the storage where people do business and work jobs, but it's hoods out here. Do not get that confused. You will lose your life out here, man. It's plenty of shootings and plenty of people who done been killed out here. It's right close to Chicago, you know. So when people be like, that's the suburbs, it's different if it's a far-ass suburb. But if you 10, 15 minutes from Chicago, that shit still like the rat. You know what I'm saying? You'll lose your life out here. But yeah, this is the public storage that helped put away famous drill rapper Lil Durk dead. It helped put him away for over 20 years. This was one of the main proponents of it. It wasn't the only thing, you know, drug dealing on the streets, because his team told on him. They told on him how they break the drugs down, how many kilos he was getting a month, where they were hiding the drugs at. They told on him. They told everything, man. So ain't such thing as friends when that pressure get on you. I tell people this shit all the time, and this is a gem I want y'all to listen to. If a nigga got like 5 kids, man, he got all their kids tattooed on his neck, tattooed on their arms, and he's just one of the most loving dads and shit like that, do you think that nigga really finna do 100 years for you, man? I'm just being honest, man. I'm not saying the dude is a rat. I'm not saying he's stupid. Some people might say he's smart, shit, stay with your kids. I'm just saying, when I see guys who have shit to live for, I know they ain't finna do 50 years for me, and I wouldn't want them to. So you gotta look at that shit like that, man. A motherfucker stay true with you, tell the police that's my sack of weed. But when it comes to that body, ain't nobody finna claim that shit for you, man. Some people will, but one thing I can say about Big Durk, they offered Big Durk a deal. You know, the feds, I was rumors that the feds believed that Big Durk knew shit about Larry Hoover too. You know, Larry Hoover was locked up a long time ago, but in the 90s, they kind of put another conspiracy on him while he was locked up to kind of keep him in there forever. And the police was trying to get Big Durk to tell them shit about Larry Hoover. I'm not saying he knew shit about Larry Hoover, but I think the police knew that he was rich, he had that bag, he had that connection, he was a gang leader, so they tried him with that shit. But I appreciate the love. We don't need no donations. It's hot out here. Keep the money to yourself. You want to support me, you hit that like button. You do it like this. Bang! When you do that shit, it make my videos grow, especially if it get like 1,000, 2,000 likes. A lot of people be able to see them. I appreciate the love. It's the homie Truth Teller, the street reporter. And remember, we finna take Truth Teller TV on the road in a couple days. We got a lot of cool videos, so make sure y'all hitting that subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram, man. At Truth Teller TV on Instagram. I got hacked, man, the other day. Somebody ended up getting my phone and shit, man. So they doing all crazy shit with my phone and shit. But I got my Instagram team working on it, and I got everybody working on it, man. So if you see anything weird come through this shit, it ain't got nothing to do with me. But if you see something real and something love and something street, then it got everything to do with me. I appreciate the love. It's the homie Truth Telling the Street.